It's Sunday morning, December 17, 2023, about 10 o'clock, and I am out today in the yard with my cat, Blackfur. He's out for his daily outing. I give him about an hour out every day, supervised, that I stay out with him and keep an eye on him so he doesn't do anything too wild. And because I'm going to be sitting out here mostly for the next hour, I'm kind of bundled up, even though it is currently 44 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about, 7 degrees Celsius, something like that. So it's pretty warm out, especially for mid-December. Now, it's supposed to get even warmer tomorrow. We're looking at almost 60 degrees tomorrow. But it's also going to be a little damp. They're saying 1 to 2 inches of rain tomorrow, and breezy with wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour, although peak winds are only supposed to be about 45. So they try to scare us with the gusts these days. I think it's not going to be that bad, especially since it's from the southeast, which is not a bad wind direction for us, because the forest to the southeast of us blocks a lot of it. So anyway, just turn the camera around for a second. You can probably see Mr. Blackfur walking along the edge of the driveway over there. Well, right now from here, he's right behind a post. There he is. And he's headed out for a walk. So I just come out, spend the time keeping an eye on him, and make sure he's okay, and that he doesn't go too far afield. If he wanders off very far, I'll go up and catch him and bring him home. But he generally, even when he does wander off, he's back in 20 minutes or so. He's a good kitty. So what do I want to talk about today? As you can see, let me turn the camera again. As you can see, there is zero snow here. Even over in Acadia National Park, which is on the other side of the road. So no snow at all here on the coast of Maine on December 17th, 2023, and we're not supposed to get any for a few days. We might have a little bit around the weekend, but I don't think it's going to stay. So that brings up winter in Maine. What do you do here on Mount Desert Island in the winter? Particularly if you're like me and you're retired. I don't go to a job. Sorry about my language. So what do I do in the winter when it's cold and snowy? Well, as you can see, in December, it's not exactly what I'd call cold or snowy, although we have had temperatures as low as 14 degrees so far this year. And we did have a couple of inches of snow about a week and a half ago, but it all melted in the last storm last weekend. And if there was any left, the 2 inches of rain we're supposed to get tomorrow would wash it all away. So, it's, we do get snow here, mostly in January and February, and a little bit in early March, but not a huge amount usually. And usually by the end of March, it's pretty much all gone. Here, at the southern tip of Mount Desert Island, we have the mildest climate on the island. And we have, in the winter, a lot of nights that go below freezing. And now and then we get a day that doesn't go above freezing, but a lot of the time it goes above freezing during the day. So when it does snow, what that means is that during the day, there's melting, particularly if it's sunny. And then at night, when it drops back below freezing, it gets icy. Everything freezes down. So even though we may get some snow, it often, within a day or two of the time it falls, it's got an ice crust on top of it. and that impacts what you can and cannot do here in the winter. Now, this time of year, it's great weather for walking in Acadia National Park. All the trails in the park are currently snow and ice free because we've had warm weather for the last 10 days or so. And they'll definitely be snow and ice free after tomorrow. And so you can walk in the park and go pretty much anywhere right now. But once it snows, the steep trails become very treacherous because they'll get icy. And some of them are quite dangerous because of that. The flatter trails, particularly over here on this part of the island, and the carriage roads, though, remain passable all winter. Now, if we do get any significant snow, they do set cross-country ski tracks on some of the carriage roads, and you can go up and cross-country ski the carriage roads. And yeah, they go up and down, but since they were laid out for horses pulling carriages, they're not that steep. And skiing is generally pretty good until the freeze-thaw cycle kicks in and the ski tracks get coated with ice. Like last year, I decided to go skiing over on the Eagle Lake Carriage Road near Bar Harbor. And I waited a day too long. When I got there, the entire carriage road was a sheet of ice. I skied a couple of 100 yards and probably covered almost as much distance sliding sideways on the ice as I did going forward. So I just turned around and came back. It was just too icy. And oh, you can see I have a visitor. He's right behind me right now. Oh, there he goes, up the stairs. He'll go up on the deck for a while. So, yeah, that limits what you can do. You can walk a lot of the flat trails pretty much all winter, particularly if you don't mind a little snow and if you're careful about the ice. But even some of the relatively flat trails can get pretty icy. So that limits what you can do outdoors. What about other activities? If you get the urge, can you go out for dinner? Well, not very easily. There are very few places that stay open all winter in terms of restaurants. Basically, almost nothing. There are a few over in Bar Harbor, and there are a couple places you can get takeout food. And I think there is a sports bar in Southwest Harbor that stays open. And there is Peter Trout's Tavern in Manset that I think is open in the winter. It's kind of hard to tell. And then, as I said, you can go over to Bar Harbor where there are a few places. But of course, going to dinner in Bar Harbor this time of year means driving over there at night and driving back at night. And there are lots and lots of deer on the island that wander around at night, particularly early in the evening, and they can make driving a little bit hazardous. Yesterday, for example, we went over to the Seawall Campground and walked in there, walked about half of the campground, and on the way home, which is about 2.5 miles, we saw 9 deer. So lots and lots of deer around. Oh, here goes Blackie, down again. Hello, Blackie. Say hello to the people. He's not into being a YouTube star. So anyway, there's not a lot of going out to dinner here unless you want to go off the island. There are restaurants that stay open all year in Ellsworth, so you can do that. But that driving to Ellsworth from here is like a 45-minute drive each way, and it can be kind of unpleasant if the weather isn't good. And what else? Well, There aren't too many businesses that are open. If you saw my November 28 video on Bar Harbor, most of the businesses in Bar Harbor are shut for the winter. There are very few that stay open. The bookstore, Sherman's Bookstore, is the main one, along with the drugstore and the supermarket. And there are a few other little shops that stay open, but as the winter gets really into the main part of the winter, January and February, even those are only open usually a couple days a week. So it's pretty limited in terms of what you can do, in terms of shopping and the like. For example, in Bass Harbor, Tremont, the businesses that are open in the winter consist of the State Ferry Dock. You can go over there and take the ferry over to Swan's Island if you want. And I may do that this winter to make a video. Just take the round trip. You can also, let's see, the post office stays open. So you can go in there, pick your mail up if you live on a private road where they don't deliver mail to your house. Like us, we live on a private road, so we don't get home mail delivery. We have a post office box. So we have to go and get our mail. You can, chat with the people you encounter there. There's also a convenience store gas station that's open in Bass Harbor. And there's a place over at the head of the harbor that is open in the winter only, that makes pizza. And that's about it for Bass Harbor. Southwest Harbor is a little better. In addition to a couple of restaurants that are open some days of the week in the winter, there's the hardware store is open, the drugstore is open, both banks are open, Hamilton Marine is open if you need some boating supplies, and there is Sawyer's Specialties, which is a wine and cheese store that stays open some days of the week. And it's not open 7 days a week or even 6. But no, so there are some businesses that are open, but not a lot. And the public libraries on the island stay open all year. And there are actually a lot of things going on at the public libraries. They have various activities and presentations all year at the library, and they're quite popular in the winter. Lots of people will head over to the library to listen to a historical talk or something like that, and while they're there, pick up a book or two. So library is a good place to go in the winter and experience whatever programs they happen to be running that week. So there's not a huge amount to do. So if you're going to live here in the winter and you are retired, you need a hobby of some sort. Or most of your time is going to be spent sitting around with occasional breaks to shovel snow. So it's not a huge center of activity here in the winter. Actually, I'm going to walk out and show you something. I think you can see it from here. We'll walk over to the road. During the last windstorm, last weekend, we were fortunate we did not lose power, but for a while we were trapped. And I don't know if you can see it, but up there about 150 yards, there was a tree down across the road on the right-hand side of the road. The top of the tree is still there. My next door neighbor was headed out, got to that tree, couldn't leave, came back home, picked up his chainsaw, went up and cut through it. So that is something that does happen here. we will often have these big windstorms that will blow trees down. Sometimes we lose power because of it, and sometimes it just blocks the road and you have to cut the tree up to get out. Now this is a private road here, so if we want a tree trimmed, we either have to do it ourselves or we have to hire somebody to come in and do it. So, you know, normally pretty much everybody that lives on this road has a chainsaw, and we just go up. Whoever finds the tree cuts it up and moves it off the road. So that is a big factor. Now, what about power outages? Yeah, those happen a lot here. Matter of fact, we're probably going to have a power outage tomorrow. If the winds do get as bad as forecast, they're supposed to be 40 to 45 mile per hour sustained, with gusts up to 70. 70-mile gusts are enough to knock some trees down, and if we're unlucky, they'll take out a power line. So what happens when the power goes off here? Well, we are prepared. You can see those solar panels up there. Those charge up a battery bank that I have in the house. I have 20 kilowatt hours of batteries. And those batteries are connected to an inverter, and that goes to a critical loads panel, a bypass panel, if you will, to isolate those loads from the grid. And that provides me with enough power. My battery bank is 20 kilowatt hours, and that's enough power in the winter, particularly if we use the wood stove to heat the house. And you can see the chimney up there for the wood stove. That provides us with enough power to keep everything going for about 4 days. That's assuming we don't get any sun during the 4 days. If we get sun, the solar panels will extend that. Now in the winter, because the sun is so low here in the winter, and we only right now are getting less than 9 hours a day of daylight, at this time of year we can only get about 1 kilowatt hour a day out of the solar panels. So they're not going to extend it much. In the summer, when we have a big storm and lose power, the solar panels provide all the power we need, and we can run indefinitely off of our battery bank and solar. So that is what we do for power outages. And we do that because our heat requires electric power to run, except for the wood stove, of course. But the wood stove does not heat the ground floor, or the plumbing is. So we do need to run our furnace to keep the ground floor where the plumbing is warm. And we also are on a well. So if we lose power, we lose water. And that has some negative effects. So, the backup power system will run the well, it'll run the heating system, it runs all the lights we need, and it runs most everything we need. But usually when we lose power, one thing we do lose, even with our backup system, is internet. The internet system does require power from the grid to operate, and when we lose power out here, unless it's a very local outage, we lose internet too. So that's that. So that's kind of what we do in the winter here. We occupy ourselves with some sort of hobby. We do a little snow shoveling. We carry firewood into the house. We tinker with our backup power systems. My neighbor, for example, has a generator system that he runs. And that's how we get through the winter here on Mount Desert Island, Maine. Okay, I want to say thanks for watching. Hope you found this interesting. If you did, why don't you think about subscribing to my channel? Maybe click that like button, and you could go all out if you want and click the notification bell. Thanks for watching.